Good morning, gents. Welcome to the
How's it going?
first edition of Stall Talk, our new podcast. Podcast, leisurely life of gentlemen, stuff like that. So we got a couple topics this morning. Our first one, we probably want to do MMA. There's been some great fights lately, and wanted to talk about those since I didn't get to watch it with any of you gentlemen. My first one, Max Holloway beating the hell out of Calvin Kattar.
hmm
My question is, why didn't they stop that fight?
It was a beautiful thing to watch. Can't be stopping those great moments, especially when he was yelling at the announcers and he's just dodging and weaving. Cater.
You
Yeah,
know, you got to be multi-talented to be able to be in the middle of a fight and still listen to what the commentators are saying about you. That's pretty impressive.
my
Yeah,
thing
I
was,
mean, I
man,
think
he had go for it, Korean one.
you know, if anyone needs to stop, what you're talking about, one of two people, right? The ref or his corner, right? And I don't know, what you had Deontay Wilder fire his corner for throwing in the towel, right? So this New England cartel boys, they're not gonna go down, until they die. So they weren't going to quit. So you're pretty much left with the ref needed to stop it. Is that what you're asking me?
I thought his corner needed to stop it, to be honest. Someone did. For the last two rounds, he had nothing for him, man, except a face to get punched, bro. I thought he was going to murder him.
He was still fighting back, right?
I was about to call the cops. All right.
Now, here's my question. Towards the end of the fight, I felt like Max got a little too cocky. He put his hands down. He was letting him punch him in the face. I didn't like to see that. What did you guys think about that?
That's always been my problem with Max, man. He gets hit too much. He likes to get punched in the face, and I think it's
He
like
does.
shortening his career because that man can fight. I want to see him fight for a long time, but he just
Yeah, I
loves
agree.
he
The
loves to get
thing is,
punched.
these guys live for the moment. When they're in that octagon and they're going, that's life. There's nothing else outside of those minutes. That stage matters, and I think it's one of those things where it's an important topic, but it's easy in hindsight to look at it and recognize it. But these dudes train for a living, and when they're there to show what they've you know accumulated, the knowledge and experience. Oh man, how can you tell these dudes to cut it out and break up?
Yeah, no, Max Holloway, he's only like what 29, but he does get punch drunk, right? He gets hit a lot, and then when he gets hit, then he starts talking, right? And then when he starts talking, then he shows a little more. I guess at the end of the day, right? He's back right where he needs to be. I mean, the next fight isn't going to be against Volkanovski because Volkanovski's going to fight what, Ortega, T
Right,
City,
like,
So,
right? That's going to be March 27th. That's going to be, I mean, today's what, January 30th. So less than what, 2 months from now, he's going to fight, Volkanovski, Ortega. Do you think Ortega, Holloway, or Holloway Volkanovski is going to be what we want to see? I mean, that's going to be like two or trilogy, right? The
Yeah,
second fight versus T City, or the trilogy against Volkanovski.
I'm gonna put it out there. I'm a Volk hater, so I want him taken out of the equation however possible. So I
you got to
don't.
give it to him, man. In the first fight, he was the clear winner. There was no
Yeah,
contesting it, in my opinion.
yeah,
So you have to give the man the respect that he deserves. Now, I think that Khabib said it best that Holloway has the opportunity to be the GOAT. He's not even in his prime yet, so he's got some growing to do. But I think one of the things he needs to do is not let people hit him when he's winning like that, just to fill it. I know that he likes the way that it feels to get hit. It probably hypes him up, but the more hits you take over time, it's going to hurt you. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody has a button once it gets hit. Look at the fight between Anderson Silva and the All-American. He got hit because he was being cocky. I don't want to see that to happen to Max Holloway.
true, true. And once that chin's gone, it's gone. Like Anderson had a legendary chin. He used to get hit and didn't care. And after we'd been cracked it, man, he got knocked out by Bisping, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bisping had pillows for fists, man.
Yeah, that's the crazy part with this sport is that Max Holloway is only 29 years old, but he's had nearly 30 fights. You know, he's 22-6. It's tough. I think he definitely deserves a shot at the title next. I hope Brian Ortega wins. I'm not a fan of Volkanovski like everybody else, but then there's still other good fighters at 145. You know, the featherweight also has Khabib. He also has Yair Rodriguez. Those guys are freaking awesome too. So there's a lot of really good matchups potentially.
Yeah, Zabit's a beast, man. That guy's ground game is on another level.
I do question his cardio, right? He's good for 1 or 2 rounds, right?
Yeah.
Against Cater. Cater, if it was a 5-round fight, Cater could have maybe pulled it out with the cardio.
It's true.
But so I'm curious on Zabit can win a 3-round easy, win 2 out of 3. So I got some questions on Zabit.
I think he does need like a top level contender. You know, he's been out for a while.
He's a contender, right? He is a contender.
Yeah.
He's 18-1. He's out of Russia. You know, those guys are mentally tough. Sure, his stamina is questionable. You know, he likes to submit people quite as often as he can. But man, you can't easily submit some of those dudes in the top 5. Those guys, everybody's defense when it comes to takedown is just too good nowadays.
Yeah, that's the thing, is takedown defense is just evolving for MMA, you know what I mean? Like, if they were in a wrestling match, no one could probably stop that takedown, right? But when could put your back up against the cage or punch someone in the face, it makes a huge difference, So, I want to move on a little bit from Max and go to Dustin and just, he fought such a smart fight. You know, he was patient. He stifled McGregor's movement, and that hook that he hit him with, just took care of business.
I gotta say, there's a big difference between the first round and the second round. I think the first round was a clear win for McGregor. I think McGregor was the aggressor, and I was scared that Poirier was going to go down. I really didn't see him winning that fight, man. I don't know what woke him up in that second round, but he came with it, and he stopped McGregor. He put him in the corner. Those leg kicks destroyed him, and he pretty much put him to sleep.
I think it was just the patience, right? Like, I think that was the difference between the first fight and the second fight is the first fight, he wanted to go out there and just knock him out. And the second fight, he wanted to kind of take him to deep water. He didn't have to, but I think that was his game plan. He said something to that effect of, I want to test him. I want to make him, I want to make it a fight. So
I lost $400, bro. I lost $400.
That would hurt.
Yeah, those are the type of bets that you take, 90% of the time. So
no, it was a parlay too, right? So I was like, I had a 4-fight parlay, right? I won the first 3 of that, and McGregor was my last one, and yeah, that came crashing. So with that first round, right? In that first round, Dustin did take him down, right? Dustin did take him down in that first round. However, I did still think Conor did win the first round on points, right? Because Conor did end up getting back up. He had the harder shots. So a lot of people think are different from what I think. I honestly think Poirier his eyes did look scared from the punches that he was kind of eating. Do you guys remember when every time that Conor hit him in the face, Poirier's reaction was to kind of point back at McGregor? The point back? I don't know if you guys remember. He pointed back. He kind of shook his hand, kind of like he was saying, I took your best punch, but it wasn't really that all, but it was kind of like a defense mechanism, and I was thinking, I was just looking at his eyes the entire second round. I wasn't looking at the legs that Poirier was doing damage. So I was just looking at Poirier's eyes, and I thought he looked scared. Didn't know, I wasn't focusing on the legs, and then the legs, chop those legs up of McGregor and pretty much turn the fight around.
I think that's a great way to put it. I think Dustin had a lot to live up to. I mean, he's already been put down by Conor, so he's coming into this fight as the underdog, and he had to live up to it. And I think that got into his head a lot. But I think when it came to that second round, he remembered who he is and what he's done, and I think that he was able to take that to Conor. I think Conor is a headhunter. I know that they kept saying that he's well-rounded, but in my opinion, he's got that huge left hook, and that left hook could put anybody down. But I think he needs to open up his game more and get out of boxing, make himself uncomfortable, maybe start some wrestling, because I know that's where the weak point is in most of his fights. If he gets in there with a wrestler, he's going to get taken down. So I think Conor has built the hype around himself so well that you either love him or you hate him. Well, what do you guys think? Do you love him or do you hate him?
I love him. I still love him.
You love him. Oh man, you know
Matter
I've
of
been.
fact, I think Vegas loves him because they have, on a projected odds, they have McGregor as the favorite for a potential trilogy. It might not be the next fight, that's fine, but Vegas is saying McGregor is still the favorite in the next fight.
Yeah,
Vegas.
you guys know I've been a Conor hater since day one. But you got the man. He puts butts in seats, right? He sells pay-per-views. It's because it is exciting when he goes in there. It's usually going to be a knockout, basically one way or the other, right? So he makes it exciting. I honestly think that Dustin probably is the more well-rounded fighter at this point, and if they had a trilogy, I'd probably pick Dustin. I would probably pick most of the top 5 against Conor. I think Gaethje hits harder. I think Tony has better cardio. Oliveira, his ground game is leagues better than Conor. I really think that top 5 just kind of is a little too much for Conor there. But he has exciting fights everywhere, right? He could fight Nate Diaz again. Everyone wants to see him fight Gaethje. If he moves up to 170, he could, fight Masvidal. He just has a lot of good options out there.
Well, I think the one thing you have to give McGregor is he has built himself into an empire. I think during the press conference, he even called out Dana and said, "I'm worth more than you are at this point." So he doesn't have to fight anymore. He's doing it because he wants to. And I think that in itself can drive him. But he has to be willing to put in the time. And I think when you get to that kind of level, he's even in his own head saying, I've passed greatness a long time ago. So I think he needs to humble himself. And I think he needs to realize that he's not invincible. And at this point, he's not the best. And I think if he gets that hunger, he could do something. Now, I think it'd be interesting. Do you still think Ferguson is a top contender after his 2 losses?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Tony Ferguson's he's the monster, man. I mean, the 2 dudes he lost to, Charles Oliveira and Gaethje, those guys are nothing to scoff at, man. Either one of them could easily be a champion. Tony Ferguson, he's ridiculous, man. His style is so unorthodox. I think he can always challenge anybody at the top, but those 2 losses are a huge blow, especially, he's an older fighter now.
Yeah, he's had a long career, and he's had a long career fighting nothing but top contenders. So I think that's made his career harder, right? He's had top contender after top contender. He hasn't had any gimme fights. So I think maybe he's a little bit on the decline, and the 2 guys he lost to are on the way up still, right? They're still starting their careers, the prime of their careers.
Forget too, he was on a 12-fight win streak before these last 2 losses. So,
you know what they're saying though? You're only as good as your last fight.
Right.
That's honestly, I think that the beating that Justin put on him, he was shaking his head. I don't know if you could come back from that and be the same fighter you were before.
Yeah.
That goes back to that whole Holloway thing. You can only take so many hits before it starts affecting you.
That's
and
true.
Usually when you have somebody that's at that top echelon, and they get a beating like that, they're only on the decline. So that's why I bring it up. Not that I'm hating on Tony, but I just feel like, is it time for him to start looking at retirement?
He does like to lead with his face too, kind of a lot like Holloway. He likes to get hit. I think he's at this point he's a step above a gatekeeper. I don't think he's in title contention just because of that, like what you said, like he got beat up. But I mean, he does a lot of unorthodox stuff. Maybe he comes back. Fighters make comebacks all the time. So I guess we can't count him out until he's really out, and I don't think he's really out yet.
I think that trilogy fight, if it happens, it happens. But if it happens, I want to see, right? Because when Conor lost to Nate, he came back and and fought his style, right? Not Nate's style, and ended up winning, right? So what's his response back from a loss, right? That's what I want to see. Now he's definitely a step above the gatekeeper, right? I think Ferguson, he's a name, but I don't think he's off of 2 losses. He's getting to that level, that is just not, the top 5, right? Whether Khabib is retired or not, is Poirier the champion, the uncrowned champion? Whatever, right? I think Ferguson is not in that elite mix anymore. Ferguson, McGregor.
So here's the fights I want to see there. I want to see Poirier Oliveira for the title, Chandler Dustin for #1 contender, and then Ferguson Conor. Ferguson Conor will bring up the end of that. I think that'd be a good little tournament there.
Lightweight.
Since you're throwing him in there, let's talk about Michael Chandler's debut against Darren Hooker. What do you guys think about that fight?
Honestly, Hooker did not fight like Hooker. He's usually a pretty aggressive kickboxer. He got walked down by a shorter wrestler. He fought scared. He really did. He backed up. I don't think he took a forward step. He backed up the whole time. Circled, he didn't throw any knees like at a guy's whose head is the same height as his knee. Like what was he doing? That is not the Hooker I'm used to seeing. Like, watch his fight with Dustin. Like, he's pretty aggressive. He has great kickboxing. Watch his fight with Feldman. Like, it really just was weird.
So with the Hooker, one thing I was seeing again is his eyes. His eyes looked scary. His eyes, and Chandler kept forward attacking. He had these looping right haymakers over the head type that was barely missing him, and he did get him at the end. And I think Chandler had a great debut. I think he's right in the mix of everything. Hooker didn't fight his game. Hooker, I'm not sure. I didn't hear reports, but when they announced, that Chandler was the winner, it felt like he was taking off his gloves, and I heard reports on Twitter that he left his gloves on the ring or in the octagon. I'm not sure if he's retired, but that might be a thing. And it sucks because New Zealand, where he's from, he has to quarantine till like the end of February almost, or near the end of February before he gets to go back home. So he's
I think it was February 21st.
Yeah. Shoot.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure if he's retired though. I'm not sure if he's retired. His last 2 fights, Poirier wore, Chandler just got knocked the heck out, and so he might be done. Like, that's one of those things where everyone has a number, right? The amount of numbers they take.
Yep.
And Max Holloway might have that number, whether it's 800 more punches to the face and he's done. I don't know, but Hooker looks, he looks good.
So I thought Felder beat him. I called Felder Feldman earlier about Felder. I thought Felder actually won the fight when they fought, Hooker and Felder. I think they need a rematch. But talking about Felder brings up Dos Anjos. He looked good against Felder. He looked strong at 155. I think he's another good fight. Maybe him and Tony or him and Conor, something like that, to kind of try to get him back towards that top 5. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the B team. That's the B team you're talking about, right? You have 1 through 5 or 2 through 5 right now because Khabib is still ranked right now #1, but Dustin all the way down to Chandler, who's #5. Dustin, Gaethje, Oliveira, Chandler. That's your A team right now, and your B team is definitely McGregor, Ferguson, Dos Anjos, and Hooker Felder.
Yeah.
And the lightweight has a lot of older fighters. Dan Hooker's 30. He's been in 30 fights. His last 4 fights have actually gone all the way. Besides the Michael Chandler fight, the last time he's actually ended a fight early was against James Vick when he beat him. But he had a unanimous decision against Iaquinta. Paul Felder, it was a split decision after 5. He went and fight with Poirier. So maybe Dan Hooker's tired of dancing for such a long time.
Yeah.
Well, so going back to our dream of who's going to fight who. So Dustin versus Oliveira. What do you guys think is the outcome of that fight?
Oh man, the way Oliveira's been looking, his stand-up's on point, his ground game's on point. I think the difference in that fight would probably be the ground game. I think Oliveira can get it done with the takedowns. I think.
You see Oliveira as the champ?
Yeah, surprisingly enough, if you asked me this last year, do you think Oliveira will be champ? I would say not a chance. But honestly, the way he took Ferg down, just at will, I think that same wrestling gets it done for him.
Is this recency bias?
A little bit. A little bit.
You're only as good as your last fight.
Yeah, you are.
Ferguson was coming off that just brutal beatdown from Gaethje, right?
Yeah.
Right? And you could say, man, he's not the same anymore. And Oliveira proved that, right? Right? Now, if you were to ask me, as a betting man, like Oliveira, Poirier, I don't know who I would pick, right? I wouldn't know. Would I take the over? Whatever over 3 rounds, maybe. I'm thinking recency bias is strong, so that's why I want to I don't know what I would say, but gun to my head, maybe Poirier. Gun to my head.
What do you think, Mario?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I like both of those guys a lot. Charles, you can look at the facts, the numbers. Charles Oliveira's on an 8 fight win streak. He's beaten quality guys, Kevin Lee as well, Paul Felder. He's making it look easy too. But at the same time, you can make an argument that Poirier has maybe fought more quality lately. Like Khabib and Holloway, and even guys like Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje. And these are guys that Poirier has beaten besides Khabib. So that it's a tough one because it's one of those things where for whatever reason Dustin Poirier, he just seems like he always gets that underdog, impression to everybody. But the lightweight division's pretty interesting, and I think it's probably one of the more competitive weight classes right now.
If you ask me, it's the most competitive. I think it's the best division in the sport. I think it's the most exciting, has the best matchups. So yeah, I really
finish it off with Gaethje Chandler. Who you got? Gun to your head.
Gaethje.
Yeah, I do too. Gun to my head.
Yeah, I think
You always got to punch his chance, man. It's hard to go against the wrestler. I mean, look at who the champion is of the lightweight. Khabib. You can't touch him because you can't touch it. You throw a punch, you're going into the ground. So I don't know. I think Chandler didn't really display much wrestling in his last fight against Hooker, but I don't know. I think Gaethje still got it.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd say wrestling being equal. We got to remember Justin Gaethje is a All-American, NCAA All-American.
Just likes to bang.
Yep, he was a good wrestler. Chandler, NCAA wrestler, wrestled for University of Missouri. Tiger style wrestling. Those guys are beasts. But
What comes down to, man.
I'm not sure. I would have to look it up, but I don't think he was ever an All-American. I don't think he was. But, still wrestling Division I, that's, big deal regardless, right? So
It's true.
I would say let's put wrestling equal. Who hits harder? For my money, Gaethje.
I'm thinking Gaethje. Yeah, you're right.
Whose boxing is better? Probably Gaethje. I think he throws better kicks. I just think he's a little bit better of a fighter all around. Chandler uses his wrestling better though. He does. So I think that would be, a big factor is if he can actually use it against him.
I just want to know, like, does Chandler have a chin? Because I remember him fighting in Bellator. He lost to Patricio Ferrer or whatever.
Let's just call him
TKO.
Pitbull.
First round.
Yeah, he got knocked the hell out.
That's what I'm talking about. And so I wasn't really sure on all the hype. I mean, yeah, it was a great win against Hooker, right? But like I said, he is the B level of the lightweight division, right? I did talk about that 18. So
yeah,
I agree. I feel like Bellator, if we're going to be, put it in perspective, then Bellator would be C team tops, even their best guys.
So minor leagues, essentially, right?
Minor leagues. It's different levels. Just like when we talk about Khabib, this guy dominates because his wrestling game is leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. He commands his will against these monsters, and he just makes it look so easy.
Yeah. Well, I like to talk about like how good Dustin's cardio looks and how good Gaethje's cardio looks. But after their fight with Khabib, they both look gassed. They just both looked so tired. Like this man just does something different.
Khabib's fearless, man. He'll shoot for your legs, and whether he doesn't have a successful launch, he's still reaching out with his fingertips just to grab your body. And as soon as he latches onto anything, he's not going to let you go, man. That guy has the most powerful hands. Even with UFC gloves on, and he'll take those close range shots just so he can grab a hold of you and pinch your legs together and just beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I think a lot of people don't consider is look at who's in his gym. Khabib is in there with DC. You're not telling me that those two don't grapple? I think if you're grappling a heavyweight and you're Khabib at 155, dude, that's going to make you a much better wrestler. Because when you're wrestling somebody that's over 250 pounds, and then you're going down and wrestling these guys that are 155 pounds, you're going to be just a beast. So I think that's got to weigh into that kind of conversation as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, Khabib, for sure, because he's an incredibly disciplined guy. I mean, a lot of people know that, he does struggle with actually making weight. But the thing is with him is, as long as he can actually, weigh in, he's the type of fighter that knows he's done it. At that point, as long as he makes weight, he's won in his mind. And that's true, man. I mean, he does the people around him just elevate him, and he elevates everybody else around him because the guy he's incredible.
Yeah.
I hope he comes back. I really do, because it was a bummer that he announced his retirement. But at the same time, how can you blame the guy when he's just dominating so easily? A lot of people like to scoff and say he can't stand up and box with people, but he's proven that wrong. I think unless they do some kind of special fight with like GSP, I don't know if he's going to come back or not.
Honestly,
Talk about that.
that's the only fight I want to see is Khabib GSP. That's the only fight I want to see with Khabib, because I think he has done it all. Like he made commitments to his family that that if he did he would retire, and but I just want to see that GSP fight, man. Khabib maybe has better wrestling, but GSP just puts it all together. I think his kickboxing wins him the fight. Honestly, I think he can stay on his feet. And his
GSP?
Oh yeah, GSP's kickboxing wins him the fight.
Well, it depends. What weight class are we talking about here? Are we doing a catch weight? Are we doing 155? Are we doing 170? I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
They have to do 165, right? GSP's too old to cut that much weight, man. I don't think
He doesn't want to cut that weight either.
Yeah. Why? I think it drains Khabib. Let's fight at 165, 170.
But that goes back to GSP. he's a champion hunter, right? He did 170. He was a champion. He held onto the belt for as long as he could, and then he decided, all right, I'm taking too much damage. I'm leaving. The only reason he came back was for a championship belt. So, do you think that he would do 165, or do you think he would want to get another belt at 155? Because I think that in his mind, having a third belt would be a better end to his legacy than at 165, where it's just for bragging rights.
Yeah,
So that's where I'm at.
he did an interview the other day. He said he's like, why even cut weight? Let's just fight at our natural weights. So
Wow.
he was saying like 180. He said he walks around at 182. He heard Khabib walks around at 185. They do a fight at 180. Neither one of them cut weight. They're at their best, you know.
It'd be an interesting fight.
Just to see who the better fighter is.
I think
I'm down with that.
I agree that if it's at 180, I give it to GSP. I think GSP is more well-rounded of a fighter, even though he's got that ring rust. He is constantly training as if he's a fighter. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen his regimen, but this dude is still just freaking ripped. I don't know what is going on in his mind that keeps him in this active state, but to him, he's still training for that next fight. So I think he wants it just as much as Khabib does. It's just whether or not Khabib would be willing to do that 180 fight.
Yeah, no, at 180, 185, whatever the catch weight at 180. Yeah, I would lean towards GSP at that point. At a catch weight much lower than that, then Khabib.
Really, I think anything other than 155, GSP wins. And you know, you can't call me like a GSP nut hugger or whatever, because as these guys, I hated on GSP the entire second half of his career, because he was the most exciting fighter, and then he turned into like, let me just take him down, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a waste of his skill and like his talent to do that. You know, he fought to win only, or like fought not to lose. He didn't fight to win, but I really believe in that man's skill. I think he gets it done.
I think Khabib would beat him at any weight. I just don't. I don't believe he could prevent a takedown, and Khabib just pinning him down, man. Like, this guy's a fucking animal. And until somebody proves that otherwise, I just cannot see Khabib not taking anybody down.
Be a great fight no matter what.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
I think it'll be a good fight no matter what. Exactly.
Let's. I think we've talked about the 155, but since we brought GSP up, talking about his old weight class, welterweight. What do you guys think about this weight class? How's that stacking up for you guys?
Meh.
Yeah, I know it feels so boring. Like I'm not big on Marty.
Yeah. Another wrestler, mind you, you know, it's a trend that, you know, with these guys at the very top, like, just like Jeff said, I am not a fan of Kamaru Usman at all. Dude complains he does nothing but complain leading up to fights. I mean, sure, he manages to win, but get him out of there.
What about against Gilbert Burns? Do you think he'll bring it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Burns is gonna bring a good fight. I think he loses though.
Well, if they stretch the fight out, Gilbert Burns needs to knock out Kamaru Usman, because Kamaru Usman's, you know, we say he's boring, he doesn't like to take shots, but he's smart.
Yeah.
He can take anybody down to the ground.
He's so big, right?
Yeah, he's a huge guy. He walks around over 200.
He fills his frame so good. Like, every time he fights, like, he just fills that weight. This division isn't as exciting. However, I am excited. Hamzat, you guys know about Hamzat?
Oh yeah, Hamzat. He's a beast, man. That's our boy.
Because he will be fighting Leon, right?
Yes.
Eventually, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be essentially February, right? So in a couple of weeks, he's going to be fighting Leon, and then with that being said, then he's going to be right in the mix again, right? So he's going to
Put
be
him in top 5 if he beats
top
him.
5 right there. So, yeah.
And man, he just looks so good. He's 9-0 right now. The guy's just destroying everybody.
Oh yeah.
You know, Woo, man.
I was in when the fight was happening, his first fight in the UFC. I was in California. I was like, man, this guy is so satisfying to watch. And then he decides to fight a week later, right? A week later.
Yeah.
And just completely annihilates them, like 98-1, 200. It was over the two fights. It was like 212-2 or something. Like it wasn't punches to 2. Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited about Hamza. I think he can make it exciting. I think he will make it exciting. Right now, it's not exciting.
It's
unless
not.
you put Hamza in.
Yeah.
He's one of those that has to. He's definitely started from the bottom, is moving his way up, unlike Chandler. So this is why he's commanding a lot of respect right now. Because this dude, he fought 3 fights in such a quick turnaround time, and people are dodging him. Because Michael Chandler likes to talk shit and says that everybody's dodging him, but he could say whatever he wants. At least, with Kamzat, he's taking the fights that he can get. He's calling everybody out too, but nobody's responding to him. So he'll take the journeyman he can get now and demolish them.
Oh, that Mearshart knockout! Oh, that was
Oh, dude, that was so dirty. Especially since old boy was talking about, he's gonna feel the difference in quality, and he got knocked out in seconds.
It was like the way I think one of the commentators, it may have been DC, they were doing a replay of it, and Mearshart saw the punch coming and he tried to turn away, but he was too slow. Boom, knocked out.
Yep. It was dirty, man. That was like my favorite fight that night.
Oh yeah, it was so sick.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, yeah, so that guy can make the welterweight exciting. I know people hate on Kobe, but he's good though,
Kobe Covington's awesome, man. He puts on an act, and a lot of people can't see past that. But at the same time, he's until you shut him up. If he didn't break his jaw against Kamaru Usman, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. But I think if they win again, he out of winning.
I was at watching the fight at what is it on the bowling lane on Eubank Silver Lane or what?
Silva,
yeah. I was watching that fight. I had like a 5-fight parlay, and Covington was the last one. And obviously I knew, right, once he had that jaw broken, and that was like early in the second round or something, right? And yeah, my parlay was toast. But
you know what surprised me about that fight is neither one of them tried to wrestle.
I know what the heck.
Exactly, and that's what everybody leading up to the fight was talking about. We got 2 great wrestlers, and then they stood up the entire time.
Honestly, I thought that was going to be the most boring main event. I was like, I don't even care. I'm not going to watch this. Both of these dudes just like to wrestle, And it's funny because I used to be a wrestler, so, and I watch wrestling, like college wrestling and stuff. But when it's 2 fighters just wrestling each other, I'm like, guys hit each other. That's what we're here for today.
But then when Kamaru fights Jorge, it becomes a kind of a wrestling match, right?
Yeah,
he took
exactly.
He took Jorge to the ground. Now that's a fight you think it is going to be more on the feet, right? But it wasn't, right?
Well, I think Jorge proved like his stand-up is in a little bit of a different league, right? In that first round, his stand-up looked great compared to Marty's, and then after that, his wrestling took over, his conditioning took over. That's his strength, right?
I just don't like it's so boring when Kamaru's just stomping Jorge's feet.
Oh yeah.
What was that? What was that move?
Dude, foot stomps are mean. I would never want to get foot stomps.
So all of us have been in a fight, right? I know Juan and Jesse have been in a fight. Mario and Jesse, Korean Juan. I didn't mean to lump you in, but you're Korean, so I'm pretty sure that you've been in at least 17 Taekwondo fights.
We use baseball bats and knives. We don't bring guns to a fight.
Yeah. So all of us have been in a fight. Like, the only thing that scares me in MMA is a foot stomp, man.
Well, one thing that was funny that Mario brought up while we were watching the fights was him and his brother were trying out leg kicks on each other.
Oh my God.
Mario, can you entertain us with that story one more time?
Yeah, so every time you're watching these fights and you're looking at these guys' techniques, it's crazy how once something catches the attention of somebody, then everybody starts copying each other. And lately, leg kicks, everybody's just attacking those leading legs, and nobody connects the kicks. So me and my brother were like, how effective are these fucking leg kicks, and are they just stupid little jerks that people are doing out there? So we went ahead and leg kicked each other. Man, nothing hurt more. I think probably getting punched in the nose would be worse, but I had a bruise for weeks. I felt like my brother was not my brother anymore after he leg kicked me.
Like, I just own this man. I do not know him.
Weren't you saying that one of them almost turned into a leg sweep? That's how hard he kicked you?
Yeah, so I kicked him first, and I hit him pretty hard, so I felt pretty good. And but when he kind of like when you go first, it's just that initial shock and surprise, and he got hit, and he was like, "Holy shit, that was a bad idea." So of course he wanted to, take it up a notch. So when he went to go hit me, he wound up and he nearly swept me off to the ground. It was crazy, but the initial impact it's a shocker how much it hurts. Like getting leg kicked, fucking sucks.
You guys know Chris Gutierrez, UFC fighter. I'm not sure if you heard the name. Chris Gutierrez.
No.
He's like 15-3, and he fought back in May of last year, May 2020, and he fought against Vince Morales, right? And so all he did was leg kicks, right? Leg kick, round one, leg kick, leg kick, leg kick, and the sounds were just like, it was like the soundtrack, right? Pop, 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 right? And second round, he just goes at the leg kicks again, leg kicks, leg kick, leg kicks, and the other fighter just laid on the he was standing, and he's like, he laid on the he just laid on the floor, and he's like, I'm done. So by leg kicks, he won. This Chris Gutierrez guy, El Guapo, man. You guys don't know El Guapo?
Oh, that's rooting, bro.
Come on, man.
That's the man right there.
I'll definitely have to seek that fight out, because that's pretty crazy. I think it's easy to say that everybody gets excited when you see those headhunters, but man, those leg kicks are devastating. And it's only the mature audience that understands what's going on, that'll appreciate stuff like that. Because just like I think it's easy to agree that wrestling it's easy to say that it's boring, but man, it's probably the hardest aspect that these guys have to go out there.
Well, speaking of wrestling, sticking with the 170-pound weight class, did you guys catch the Chiesa Magny fight?
Yeah.
That was
to watch if you had money on Magny, which I did. So frustrating.
He should have won. I think if they run that again, Magny, he was very defensive, because Chiesa, he just launched his body and just wore Magny out.
Like you said, the wrestling, it was not an exciting fight, but it was a decisive fight. Chiesa jumped up 2 spots in the ranking for it. He went from 8th to 6th. I think that Chiesa's been around now for a while, and he's one of those guys you don't expect a lot from. He's not an intimidating looking guy, but I am happy to see him working up that ranking. I think it's cool that he's made it up to 6th, but I'd like to see him fight a top 5 guy and see what he can do with it.
Yeah, he did to Magny what Magny does to other people, right?
Exactly.
He uses wrestling to wear him down. I don't think Magny was prepared for that. I don't think he thought he was quite as good as he was. I knew he kind of jumped levels when he came up to 170. He's not cutting weight no more. He's a big guy. And he beat the ever-loving shit out of Diego. I felt bad for Diego, man, because I've been watching that guy since Tough One, so...
Yeah.
But he really beat him up, and so he just looked like levels better. I thought Magny was a good test. I don't know who's next for Chiesa. Wonder Boy?
That would be an interesting fight.
That would be an interesting fight. Right above him is Masvidal, Wonder Boy. Leon Edwards, Kobe Covington. So
Well, I
Yeah.
think Masvidal has to fight Covington. I think that there's so much hype about them being roommates, them like growing up in the fight game together. I think that I'm a big Masvidal fan. I really am. But I think Covington has the wrestling background to take Masvidal down, and I think Masvidal knows that. So I don't know if he's willing to sign that paperwork because of that. So I think he's scared. So I want that fight to happen even more.
yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, Covington will easily take Masvidal down. But the thing with Masvidal though is if you pay him, because I don't know if he seriously thought he could beat Kamaru Usman or not, but he got paid real well that fight.
Yeah. He came in to fight Usman on what was it, 5-day notice? Something like that.
It was real short notice.
Yeah, to fight that, hey, it would be the same thing, right? Getting taken down by a great wrestler. So I don't think he's scared of Covington. I think he just wants to get paid what he wants to get paid, you know what I mean? I'm a big fan of Street Jesus. I think he's probably the most exciting fighter in the top 5.
I agree.
I
think that he's a great fight to watch. And when I say scared, I don't mean like physically scared, but I think
just like scared
it's
of
more
losing his
reputation
ranking,
based.
kind of.
Yeah. I mean, he would not want to. No, who wants to lose to Kobe Covington? Not nobody.
Not nobody, not ever, right?
I look at all these YouTube videos and Covington just
Others, man.
wrestles Masvidal in like an apartment or a hotel, and
Exactly.
it's not even close in terms of the wrestling, I think. So
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think that Masvidal knows that. So, what they would do in their apartment is going to be a difference than what he's going to do in front of a live audience. Do you want that to be your legacy? That you got smothered by Covington? Like Mario said, nobody wants that.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, and Kobe Covington is going to try to baptize Masvidal. So it'd be an interesting fight.
Yeah, I think Masvidal has 2 rounds to get it done, and then Colby's conditioning takes over.
Yeah.
Speaking about a live audience, what do you guys think about them allowing people back in the stands again? I think it's been the last few Fight Island fights. I personally love it. I love the fact that there's somebody there yelling in the background, hyping them up. What do you guys think?
I love it because even in the boxing world, when Gervonta Davis was fighting or Canelo was fighting, like in Texas, like they had fans there. So like for Abu Dhabi, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
So,
I like different aspects of it, right? Like I like the silence, and you can hear someone get hit, and then you just kind of feel how brutal it is. But it's so much more exciting when there's fans there, like, and someone gets knocked out and they're just screaming. It just seems so much more exciting.
I agree.
I like hearing the coaches talk too. Hey, get to the wall, you just got down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I like hearing the coaches too, because I'm a big, just just the kind of like, the X's and O's, right? What the coaches are saying, what are they saying?
Yeah.
How to get it.
So
I think there's good and bad to both of that, though, because then you look at the last Anthony Smith fight where he gassed himself out by trying to do everything his coaches were telling him to do, and it didn't work out for him very well at all. So I think sometimes it's good for the fighter to have that all hushed out by the crowd and just focus on what they're doing and try to run their game plan. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So we're coming up on about 50 minutes, so kind of want to start winding down a little bit. I just want to get you guys Super Bowl picks before we take off.
Absolutely.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa?
Tom Brady's the GOAT, man. He's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
Greatest football player ever, in my opinion.
He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
Hard to argue against him, man. I mean, he's there without his whole team.
Why not greatest sports athlete ever? I'm not talking about athletic ability. I'm talking about winner. You know what I mean?
No, man, we can't go against Michael Jordan, man. Don't do that. don't ever.
I know you're a Chicago guy, but like one person in a 5-man offense versus one person, on 11. Michael Jordan can play defense. Tom Brady doesn't. So it's like one against like 20, 22, 23 other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's an argument for it, right? He's definitely up there. As much as people hate him, call him a cheater and stuff, like the man has just proven he's a winner. He just wins.
Hey, Brady, lose money, man. Like that's what Taylor's old as 20 years. You know what I mean?
But
and the thing people need to understand is the NFL is such a competitive league. Any year, any team can raise up and all of a sudden go to the playoffs, Super Bowl. So it's for Tom Brady to be consistent at that level is amazing. But I agree though, he's definitely in the conversation with greatest athletes of all time. That's an incredible list to sort out. But
I got just before we kind of finish up and wrap up, seems like a lot of you guys thinking Brady, Jet.
No, I'm going KC, man.
Casey.
As
favorite, right? You're picking the favorite.
As great as Tom Brady is, I just don't think Tampa Bay has the defense to stop that offense.
They're definitely a lot better than what KC has seen so far in the playoffs.
That's true. And the Bills, man, the Bills are a good team, though.
Yeah, but they had a good run.
Back to 1.0, so,
Yeah, I just think that offense is a little too high-powered. But we'll see. I mean, like we said, Brady, he's Mr. Postseason, right? Like, you put him into the playoffs and he just wins. So
just to kind of finish this off here real quick, just, so for entertainment purposes, I have some prop bets for you guys real quick. Just tell me what you guys got. What color is the Gatorade shower going to be?
It's going to be red.
Green.
Green is the favorite, or not the favorite. Red is the favorite, and at plus 150, so $100 wins you 150. Not bad. Real quick, how many times is the Patriots going to be mentioned in this game?
19.
So many times, along with Belichick.
This is a prop bet. How many times Gisele Bundchen going to be shown up in the stands?
7.
At least 15.
At least 15
Over under 1.5, but I hear you. And then here's the last one. How many times is the word kindergarten going to be mentioned? For context, Mahomes was in kindergarten when Brady was in his first Super Bowl. Now Mahomes facing Brady 19 years later. So you tell me, how many times?
I'd say 3.
Yeah, I was going to go like 3, too.
Over under 1.5, I got you.
But in all realness, guys, how many times are they going to talk about the Cowboys? Let's face it.
Hopefully not.
Well, let's go with 0, man. You know. That's pretty funny, man. All right, so, I mean, let's give a shout out to our homies buying GameStop stock and getting shut down.
One other thing I think that we should probably do before we end this, I don't think we've gone around and introduced ourselves, so it'd probably be a good time to do it before we sign off.
We might have did that in the beginning, huh? So,
Jed, it's your podcast, man. Why don't you go ahead and shout it out?
So, my name is Jed. I go by Jed T, obviously. Just wanted to have some fun with my friends and talk about whatever we like. Today's topic happened to be MMA. In the future, it's probably going to be knitting because that's what we like to do. But, that's me.
I like sweater. I am Jesse K. I went to high school and middle school with both Jed and Mario, so I've known these guys my whole life. They're my brothers. And, I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Jed.
And Mario.
Go ahead, Mario.
Interrupting Korean Juan over here. Hopefully we get his real name because I'm curious. But I'm same thing like Jess said. Him and Jed are my brothers. Jed was the one that came up with this idea, and I love spending time with these guys. So this is a good opportunity.
All right, and I'm Jong, Jong, Korean Juan. Jed is my boss at work, and so I actually sent him a copy of a amateur hour podcast I sent him, and because he listened to it, I guess he invited me on yesterday to come out today. So yeah, no, I'm born and raised in Cali, and yeah, I hope to go back to Cali one day, but I'm not sure if it's anytime soon. But that's my story.
Yeah. Let's tell me your whole story, Korean Juan. I mean, this guy's training for the Olympics in ping pong right now. COVID is kind of put.
I will tell you this though. I will tell you this. I am a black belt in Taekwondo, so
Nice.
I do come with some type of experience there in terms of Taekwondo. Yeah.
So when Jed gets froggy, you just remind him.
And anytime when it's sports related, I will mention a gambling edge to it too, somehow, some way. You know what I mean? So that will always be a thing for me.
Nice. We'll have to reveal a little bit about ourselves as the future episodes go on, because I think we're pretty unique individuals, and Jed is definitely a fantastic boss to have.
Word. Absolutely.
Hey, Korean Juan loves me, man.
Can't blame him.
I like how you throw it out there, Jed.
Hey, Korean
Doesn't
Juan.
work. It's not as strong unless he says it. I'm just saying.
Korean Juan, am I the best boss or am I the best boss?
The best boss, period, end of period. You know what I mean?
So people will come to know that Jed is probably the most confident man to ever been born on this planet.
Oh yeah, we were bringing that up during the fights, man. We were talking about Jed, the size of Jed's balls and how big they are.
Oh, dude. What? I need to hear this story. Like, what story were you telling?
So
Go ahead, Mar. You got this.
All right, so the top story that got everybody rolling was I was telling him about one night when we were at Frontier. And, everybody knows Jed, he can't hold his liquor, but so he has to purge himself. But, once he relieves himself of the demons, he'll walk up to the lady. Doesn't matter if it's one or a group. But this particular night, he walked up to a table of some beautiful women, and he just was like, all right, ladies, so, if you guys want to start giving me your phone number one by one. And most guys would be crushed, to even approach one person, but...
He did it at the table.
Yeah, even though it was a good time, everybody laughed. Jed came back and he just started eating his food like a boss he is. Wasn't phased.
Bro, I must have been smashed because I do not remember this.
How long ago was that, if you recall? How long ago would you
It was
say?
probably like 10 years ago,
Had to
man.
be it.
Yeah, probably a decade ago. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was still at UNM at the time.
We're old as shit.
Yeah.
Did I get any numbers? That's the real question.
No, man, I think you went for the group approach. It didn't work as well, but you still went for the group approach is the moral of the story.
Okay.
Those Jed balls.
Did I point and like, hey, you? Next.
What I was hoping.
You had your happy Jed face on, so it
Drunk
was
Jed.
Nice.
Is this recorded, right? So can you send us a copy or something, some way, somehow?
So this is pre-iPhone days.
Yeah. Hey man, we're that old. Hey John, you're that old too, dog. When you were in college, bro, you didn't have the iPhone.
See what I think? I think what wrong there was the fact that Jed didn't go with a piece of paper and a pen and drop it on the table. Be like, all right, ladies, go ahead and put your number on one by one.
Just one by one.
They got scared, man. You came at them just verbally. They didn't know what to do.
Oh shit. That was my bad. That was my bad. I mean, it has worked before, so just walking up like, hey, I need a number, and and I've gotten one.
The only downside about doing a podcast, man, is you can't, get onto the edge of a desk and pull your pants up tight and do the point. But, we got to live with not seeing your beautiful face on this, but it's okay. The people will understand.
Hey, it's all right, man. All right, guys. It's been nice talking to you. We'll cut it here. I'll get some editing done and put it up.